Hi, and welcome to my video on how to stock predictor, and today we're going to learn how to build a stock predictor on your own. So today we're going to be using Google Colab to do our project. Now, you can just head over to your browser, look up Google Colab, click here, and then sign in with your account, and you should have your projects here. Now you can just start a new notebook and then get started. The reason why I created this project is because stocks are always changing and are very unpredictable. So that's why today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to make a machine learning algorithm to guess what the stock might be for the next day using a month's worth of past data. The first step in creating this program would be to gather the data. When programming with AI and creating a machine learning model, you always want to have a data set, and this will be the foundation for the next predicted point. In this case, I'm going to be using the Google stock to test if this machine learning model will work. You can see here, this program predicts the Google stock for a specific day using the machine learning algorithm called support vector regression, which we'll learn more about later on. Gathering data can be a bit difficult for artificial intelligence projects. And lucky for me, I was able to find a free resource that would give me the Google stock for 2019 June 3rd. Now, once I got this data from the website, I was able to transfer it into an Excel document. I'll show you that here. So here you can actually see the CSV file. This is the name of the file, and I just imported it from my laptop. The cool thing about artificial intelligence programs is that they can actually read CSV files, which are just Excel files. Now, the second part of this program would actually be creating the code. So now we'll walk through that. The first part we want to look into is importing the specific libraries that we need. So first you want to import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP, from sklearn.svm import svr, will be our support vector regression, from sklearn.linearmodel import linear regression, import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Importing linear regression allows for the parameters to be used and to create a linear prediction regression model. And that's exactly what we'll look at the end. Now, as we scroll through, we can actually see here I commented out some code. This is exactly what the code does, and I'll explain as I go. So the dates and prices, as you can see, are the X and Y data sets. So these are what we're actually creating with our linear regression model. Since I'm using Google Colab, I can just simply load the data into the actual program. See, right here, load the data. From Google Colab, import files, upload equals files.upload, and dfhead 7. So this actually gets the 7th row. Right here, we can see that Google Colab opens this browse button for us, and we can just insert the Google Predict CSV. So a more specific meaning of this is the number that represents how many rows of data frame that we want to look at, but not test. So df.shape allows us to get the number of rows and columns in the data set. So here we know that we have 20 rows and 7 columns. Now, using df_tell1, we can get the last row of the data set. Now, we can see here, this is the last row of the data set, the 19th day. And then next, what we're going to want to do is do dfhead len df-1. So this gets all of our data except for the last data set. And we'll see why right now. So now we want to see the new shape of the data set. So now you can use the same code, df.shape, and now you see that we have 19 rows and 7 columns. So now with our code, we can actually gather the rows from the date column. See right here, date, and then we look back in our data, and it's obtaining this column, right? So next, we can gather the rows from our open column. So using this code right here, df_open is equal to df.loc, right here, open. Then we know that it's getting this column right here. So now, using this piece of code, we can actually get the independent dataset X and independent dataset Y. This will help us later on as well. So if we want to take a look at the specific dates that we printed, then we can do print dates. So we can now see that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12 going on are the ones that got printed. So this is the part where when you imported your libraries, this is what it's doing now. So this is what you're passing through for predict prices. You're passing through dates, prices, and X. So first what you want to do is create 3 support vector regression models. So SVR lin, SVR poly, SVR RBF. So support vector regression, kernel, linear, poly, and RBF. And we'll see later a representation of what that means. So next what you're going to want to do is train the specific support vector regression models. So SVR line fit, SVR poly fit, SVR RBF fit, and then you pass through the dates and prices. Now, what you want to do is create the linear regression model. With linear underscore regression is equal to linear regression, and then you want to train the linear regression model, linear underscore reg dot fit dates and prices, because you're passing through the dates and prices. After that, what you're going to want to do is plot the models on a graph to see which has the best fit. So because you want to actually see and visualize these different pieces of data, you're going to want to change the colors for these. So what I chose was color black, color red, blue, green, and orange. This will be able to help me differentiate what exactly is for the dates, prices, and any data that I want to look at. So now what we also want to do is add labels to our different models. So here you see PLT plot dates SVR poly, right? So we would name this SVR poly. So now what we want to do is predict the price of the Google on day 28. The predicted underscore price is equal to the predicted underscore price passing dates and prices for the 28th day. And then we can print that predicted price. Now, Google Colab does its magic, and then you get this graph. And we're going to understand how you read this data. So we can assume that the next data point will be somewhere on the linear regression line. This is going to be much easier for someone like my uncle if he should decide to sell or keep his stock. I should mention that using a machine learning model for stock predictors is very difficult. This is simply a foundation for what we could do to predict using past data. It's very hard to predict using an algorithm because there are so many things that affect stocks, such as current events, as well as past and future events. Now, if you want to look more into reading this data, you can just look at the labels that you made. SVR, RBF. So you see that this is the red line right here, and then the blue one right here, the linear one. So these are just different types of lines that can help you predict what will be the next point. Once again, disclaimer, this will most likely work if you were to, use even more data. Because the thing is it's very hard to predict stocks on its own. But if you have a lot of data, then it would just be a bit easier. But like I said, there's a lot of current events, news, things that change this. So it wouldn't technically be too accurate. So you wouldn't want to rely on something like a stock predictor until that further developed technology actually came out. So thank you for taking the time for looking at this video. And if you have any questions, you can just look in the description and I'll have all my information, my LinkedIn, Twitter, anything that you want to do to contact me, and I'll answer any questions you have.